Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 1420, written by Quailplumes, Whispers of the Owl. When I was around 9 years old, my parents took me to a beautiful supper club in Wisconsin Dells for dinner one night. The supper club was originally built as a large cabin home in 1909. But the land was once a ceremonial ground for the Winnebago tribe before the pioneer settlers purchased it. The supper club has since been remodeled around the original architecture, and it is truly a visually stunning place. As a nature-loving kid, I was most intrigued by the many animal and bird mounts decorating the interior walls. The area where we ate that night had owls and hawks overlooking us. We had been sitting at our table for a little while, before I looked up at the nearest owl again, and suddenly gasped, excitedly pointing it out to my parents and saying, "Look, the birds move!" I had watched this owl's head swivel at least 90 degrees from looking towards me to turning away in the other direction. But once my parents were staring at it, it stopped moving. They glanced at it for several minutes, clearly doubting it had moved at all. But I argued that it had entirely changed the position of its head from one direction to the other. To stop my relentless staring, they persuaded me to ask our waitress if the bird moved, the next time she came over, to which her reply was something like, "No, none of the birds move. They were all alive once, which is why they have been preserved so nicely." There was no further need for me to be convinced that the owl was not robotic, as it obviously looked like a real preserved bird, but I still did not doubt what I saw with my own eyes. I was only upset that it only moved while no one else was watching. I tried to laugh off the bizarre occurrence, like my parents who were now teasing me about the spooky owl, but to this day I remember watching the mounted owl swivel its head. Now a decade later, I've become a major bird lover with some of my most interesting experiences with birds being owls, so I like to believe what I saw that night was that good hooter's spirit saying hello to me. Case file 1420, Whispers of the Owl. Absolutely. Spirits can possess objects and animate them, and I think most animals have spirits too. But this is still incredibly odd to me because turning the head like that and back should damage the preserved owl. Even if it was absorbed by some spiritual energy, it doesn't mean a rigid object can be deformed against the laws of physics and not break or be damaged. Maybe it was a spiritual interfacing event instead, so the owl's spirit jacked into your mind to make you see something that never happened in reality. Because again, I still think, even if an object is possessed, it can't do things that the laws of physics would prevent. If it breaches its tensile strength or something, it'll just rip apart along those lines. Case file number 1421, written by Listerine 990. The Fireball, the Forest, and the Silent Strangers. When I was a kid, I saw a huge fireball in the sky through my roof light at night. I don't remember the time, but surely after midnight. There was no sound, which was strange. It looked so close and like a very big shooting star. I was confused and decided to go outside, live near a forest in a small town, and try to find where it landed or if there was any trace of it. I knew it could be an optical illusion, but it was very strange and I was sure I saw it for real. In the forest, I didn't smell smoke nor saw a fire. But there were a lot of people walking around either in small groups or some with their dogs. I greeted them, again, small town, and they greeted me back like it was the most normal thing to do to wander around in the forest after midnight. I get goosebumps years later thinking about that and can't explain the fireball nor the people. Another story. We have a smart TV from Sony. Maybe someone knows if this is normal. On a Saturday night, me and friends were watching Netflix, and I asked a friend to pause the movie. We have two remotes. The small one was on my side of the couch, and another bigger one with more buttons was where my friend was. He paused it, and suddenly a female voice started speaking. The movie was paused. The voice was much louder than the volume was set, and it was in English. TV settings are in German. She was reading down letters and numbers, and I was somehow shocked and didn't catch up with what she said. I tried to find out if there was a serial number of the TV or anything, but can't explain it. I wasn't able to find out which key or command it was on the remote, or what function was triggered there. This was very strange, but probably has an easy explanation. Question to file 1421. The Fireball, the Forest, and the Silent Strangers. The first story almost sounds like a lucid dreamlike state, with some sensory perception missing, like sound or simple cues like asking why half the people you knew were walking around the forest alone at midnight. It is very odd and unsettling, but my guess is it wasn't actually happening. The fireball or the meteor maybe did pass, and you were just dreaming it, pulling that information into your mind, and as you were sleeping, your subconscious was processing it, which is kind of cool in a way, I think. Bonus file written by amairoc, The Swimming Pool Prophecy. I was working alone in one of the dorms on campus. It was a summer break, and the building was getting ready to be torn down. So I was just wrapping up cords for each desk in the dorms so they could be taken downstairs. I had my headphones on with an audiobook. Coworker had left for a moment. Then suddenly, I get this image of a person jumping or falling out of a window. I was thoroughly freaked out and messaged some friends to call me and talk. My campus is known for its hauntings, but I had never read about this specific building, so I talked to my friends. The image goes away and I forget about it. Fast forward 2 years, and I'm at a different job, and my coworker just casually mentioned, "Oh yeah, there was that guy who jumped out of the window in that dorm," referring to the one I got that feeling in. I could just feel my face go white. I completely forgot that whole incident. So I looked up what she said, and sure enough there was someone who did jump off, similar to what I pictured. Another time this happened, actually before this previous incident, I was swimming in the gym, and I got this image of a girl fully clothed and drowning. I freaked out and got out of the pool before deciding to call it a day. A couple of days later I went back with a friend. We were swimming and I heard someone calling for help. There were 3 people in the pool and the lifeguard, everyone swimming. I jumped out and started crying. Someone actually did drown in that pool. The haunting stories involve this kid, but I distinctly remember it being a woman or a girl. I haven't been to another pool to swim laps since. Things that make this weirder. I don't believe in ghosts. For me, everything has an explanation. These instances have literally no explanation. Case notes for the bonus file. The Swimming Pool Prophecy. Yes, repeating patterns, echoes. It's funny how our fiction and games often recreate certain elements of reality, accidentally. I'm thinking of in Dark Souls, the video game, where there are pools of blood near the point where someone dies, and if you click on it, it presents the faded recreation of how that player died. Of course, it's not accessible to most people. We don't walk around with bloodstains where people died and we can just press it and then see how they died, no. But some people do possess the ability to pull into that spiritual knowledge bank without them knowing why or how it activates. And then they recreate the whole, and sight, smells, sounds, everything, event in their mind. And they see exactly what happened. It's not just some echo for them. It's really happening. They're there. It's more like in Harry Potter with the pensieve, diving into a memory and really being there, even though you can't affect anything. I think that's pretty cool, but if you don't know or understand what's happening, it would be very disturbing. And now time for the quote of the day. Hard work spotlights the character of people. Some turn up their sleeves, some turn up their noses, and some don't turn up at all. Sam Ewing. I've been hearing about this lately, where, especially in blue-collar work, like physical, manual, hard labor, a lot of people just aren't showing up for work anymore. It makes you wonder. Obviously there's pay issues, it's hard work, you want to be paid really well. And you think about it, if you can manage to work in some other capacity at a desk on a computer, it's much more comfortable, there's no denying that. Although some people do enjoy working with their hands, it feels more direct, I suppose. But yeah, a lot of people just aren't showing up anymore. And I think that's, if you don't want to work, just don't work. But don't make an agreement to show up and then just not show up. That's kind of crappy, Honor your word. That'd be the advice I'd give to people. Simple as that. Just, if you make an agreement, honor it. Or do everything you possibly can to honor it. Obviously, if you get, ejected from a plane or something, you can't go there. But within reason, honor your word. That's all. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.